Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the August 27th Finance Committee meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Member Cahill, Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans.
Here.
Member Galassi.
Here.
Member Garcia, Member Guston, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozag, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, Member Yu, and Member Zay.
Okay, great. We have a quorum. So we do not have any in-person public comment, but the board did receive public comment via our online portal. The board policy, those comments were provided to members yesterday so they could be reviewed, and the comments submitted electronically will be included in the minutes of this meeting. And with that, we're moving on to chairwoman remarks. I just want to report that members A, myself, Nick, Jeff, Chris, we all met with Marsh McLennan a couple weeks ago. We had a really great, about an hour and a half Zoom call. We have very good news from Marsh McLennan. So they're going to be coming in September 10th to go over our health insurance policy. And so I'm very excited to bring them in on September 10th to discuss that. So that was some more good news. And with that, we move on to the approval of minutes. Can I have a motion on 24-2228 Finance Committee regular meeting minutes from August 13th, 2024? I have a motion by member Cahill, a second by member Galassi. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to budget transfers. Can I have a motion on 24-2287 transfer of funds from other professional services to temporary salaries in the amount of $1,000 to compensate seasonal employees for the final pay period? I had a motion by member Yu, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Can I have a motion on 24-2286 budget transfers 8/27/2024 from various companies and accounting units? Motion by member Garcia, second by member Galassi. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to procurement requisitions, and I'll call on member Krajewski for animal services.
Thank you. I move on to ASP 0001-24, recommendation for approval of contract.
Have a motion by member Krajewski, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Krajewski. We move on to legislative, and we have member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve LEG-P-0003-24, the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Rauch Sullivan Strategies, LLC, to provide consulting services as lobbyists representing DuPage County before the Illinois General Assembly and State Executive Branch for the period of September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2025 for County Board, for a contract total not to exceed $52,500.
A motion by member Desart, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Desart?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve LEG-P-0002-24, the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Marquardt and Humes, Inc. to provide consulting services as lobbyists representing DuPage County before the Illinois General Assembly and State Executive Branch for the period of September 15th, 2024 through September 14th, 2025 for County Board for a contract total amount not to exceed $94,500.
I have a motion by member Desart, a second by member Zay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Desart. We move on to Public Works and member Garcia.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve FMP 003324, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Martinez Retail Management, Inc., doing business as All Window Cleaning Services to provide window washing services for county facilities for facilities management for the 2-year period of August 28th, 2024 through August 27th, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed $46,700.
I have a motion by member Garcia, a second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve FMP 003424. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to L Marshall Inc. to install safety improvements on the roof of the 505 building for facilities management for the period of August 27, 2024 through August 26, 2025, for a contract total amount not to exceed $196,650.
I have a motion by member Garcia. Do I have a second? Second by member Zay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve FMP 003524. Recommendation for the approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois and V3 Companies Limited to provide additional professional stormwater engineering services and engineering design for floodproofing for the east and west sides of the county campus for facilities management for the period of August 27, 2024 through November 30th, 2026, for a total contract amount not to exceed $394,160.
I have a motion by member Garcia, second by member Zay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve FMR 000324. Recommendation for the approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois and DuPage Senior Citizens Council for lease of space at 420 North County Farm Road, Wheaton, Illinois, for facilities management for a 48-month period from January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2028, for an annual amount not to exceed $1,000.
I have a motion by member Garcia, second by member Schwarzy. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve PWCO 000424, amendment to County Contract 5312-0001 serve issued to ComEd for delivery of electricity to all public work facilities for Public Works for a change order to increase the contract in the amount of $10,000, taking the original contract amount of $1,468,000 and resulting in amended contract amount not to exceed $1,478,000, an increase of 0.68%.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve PWCO 000524, amendment to county contract issued to LAI Limited to procure Desuric valves that have reached end of life at the Woodridge Green Valley wastewater treatment plant for Public Works for a change order to increase the contract in the amount of $20,000, taking the original contract amount of $82,000 and resulting in amended contract amount not to exceed $102,000, an increase of 24.39%.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve PWP 001824, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Mid-American Water to furnish and deliver valve and hydrant replacement parts and kits for the period of August 27, 2024 through August 26, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $60,000.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve PWP 001924, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Vissering Construction Company for the construction of the septic receiving tank for the septic receiving station for Public Works for the period of August 27, 2024 to August 26, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $679,853.90.
I have a motion by member Garcia, a second by member Galassi. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve PWP 002024, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Institute Form Technologies, Inc. for sandblasting, priming, and spray rehabilitating the Emerald Lift Station for Public Works for the period of August 27, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $172,110.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, member Garcia. And we move on to technology with member Yu.
Thank you, Chair. I make a motion on 24-1173, amendment to resolution TEP 2-24 issued to SHI International Corp. to incorporate migration paperwork into PO 6834-1 and encumber funds for ETSB and the county finance software in the amount of $44,138.38.
Have a motion by member Yu, a second by member Covert. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Yu.
Thank you. And I make a motion on PRMS P 1-24, recommendation for the approval of contract to Delta WRX LLC to develop an RFP, evaluate responses, participate in the selection and the contract negotiations for the police records management system for the period of August 27, 2024 through August 26, 2027, for a total contract amount of $192,269.36.
A motion by member Yu, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Yu.
Thank you,
Move
ma'am.
On to transportation, I will call member Ozak. Oh, member Zay?
Yeah, please show me you leaving the room on these.
Yes, on which the first two? The first three. Can the record please reflect member Zay leaving the room for item 7E1, 7E2, and 7E3? Please proceed, member Ozak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of 242135, amendment to DTP 010323 issued to Christopher B. Burke Engineering for professional preliminary engineering services along the East Branch DuPage River Trail from Butterfield Road to the Illinois Prairie Path to increase the funding in the amount of $126,429, resulting in an amended contract total amount of $1,626,429, an increase of 8.43%.
I have a motion by member Ozak, a second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. I move for approval of 242146, amendment to DTR 009023, a local agency agreement between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation for the East Branch DuPage River Trail to increase the county share in the amount of $126,429.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. Finally, I move for approval of DTP 004624, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Christopher B. Burke Engineering for professional Phase 1 engineering services Part B for improvements along the East Branch DuPage River Trail from St. Charles Road to the Illinois Prairie Path for a contract total not to exceed $539,499. Professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process in compliance with the Local Government Professional Services Act.
Motion by member Ozak, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Could somebody let member Zay know we are complete, that item is okay. Welcome back, member Zay. With that, we move on to informational items and I'm sorry, finance resolutions, and I'll call on member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to combine items 8A through D. They're all acceptance and appropriation resolutions.
I have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Guston to combine items 8 through D under finance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Please proceed, member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0142-24, acceptance appropriation of HUD 2023 Continuum of Care Planning Grant in the amount of $312,932. FIR 0143-24, acceptance appropriation of a HUD 2023 Continuum of Care Homeless Management Information Systems agreement here for $80,000. FIR 0144-24, acceptance appropriation of HUD 2023 Continuum of Care Homeless Management Information System grant for $188,556,000. And last, FIR 0145-24, acceptance appropriation of an additional funding for the ILDCO Community Service Block Grant going from $1,196,614 to $1,274,833, increases of $8,219.
I have a motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion on any of these items? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
On FIR 0139-24, annual financial commitment in support of the DuPage Convention and Visitor Bureau for $50,000.
Have a motion by member Krajewski, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0146-24, which is amendment to resolution FIR 0225-22 for the Water Connection Assistance Program. It's an ARPA item.
Do I have a second? I have a motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. And Nick, do you want to come up and just say a few words on this? I know you have a question, but maybe Nick might answer your questions in the. So we're gonna have Nick address this one.
Absolutely. What you have in front of you is kind of the the tail end, pulling back the money. This program was very successful. What we did originally, we offered it to all of unincorporated, actually all of incorporated, for anybody who wanted to connect. We had some assistance in that, and it was very successful. I can get you the exact numbers, but it was definitely approaching, I think, probably around the 70 mark of people that connected. And a second part of this in Westmont, they are extending water main to help an unincorporated neighborhood. So they're going to be putting the main trunk line in to facilitate water in the future. So it was a very successful program. And we did multiple mailings to everybody next to our system that didn't have water, and several of those took advantage of it and connected to Lake Michigan water. So what you see here is kind of the tail end. We're pulling it back to reuse the money.
Yes, and Member Garcia, did you have a question on that?
Thanks. Yeah, really not a question, but a comment, because I know this has been years in the making, and especially in terms of the Westmont area. And I know this is something that Chair Chaplin and myself have attended many meetings on this, so I'm very happy to see that this is, getting the trunk or the pipe to bring the water there. So I just wanted to say, this is great news for that area, and I hope that they're all aware that their clean water is going to be available.
It's going to make a huge difference in the cost of that project there. And I brought Greg Phillips up here. He was instrumental in this program. He's the one who sent out multiple letters to all the people who weren't connected to inform them, keep them updated, process everything. And the exact number he just told me is 64. I was close. I was 6 off. It's 64, which is great.
Yeah.
So it's 64 people that forever will have Lake Michigan water.
Yeah, and and this is a really great use of funds, because by putting that that water main in that area in Liberty Park, we know that system is probably going to fail at some point.
It's just a matter of
And
when, not if.
the infrastructure will be there. And I know if we didn't have the infrastructure in front of our home when we had our water contamination, it would have been even a few more years. But my street was lucky that we did have that infrastructure. So putting that infrastructure, and this is a long-term investment that we're making that really is improving the quality of life for our residents. And Greg, if you wanted to go ahead and say anything.
Yeah, same. We were able to touch from Roselle to Glen Ellen, Downers Grove, and about 2 or 3 different areas within DuPage County. We were able to bring water to those folks that took advantage of it. And we spent about $185,000. And everybody was really excited to get a rebate on getting connected to the water systems. And the towns were very helpful in accommodating the residents to do so.
Yeah, and I think we do have to give a special shout out to Westmont too for working with the county. I know they worked with the EPA, they were trying to get loans, so they really stepped up to try to help with that infrastructure. So that this is really a good project.
And I know I think some of the towns out there incorporated actually stacked rebates to really incentivize their residents to switch to Lake Michigan water. So it was well received around everybody.
Thank you. Member Krajewski?
I think we set aside $1 million, right, in that program. How much did we use total?
So a little bit less than 200,000 for the direct connection. And then there's how much for the 700,000 for the Westmont extension
Okay,
in Liberty Park.
okay. And so in the Liberty, because I know Liberty Park was the biggest area, the Downers portion of that hooked up to Downers.
That's
So,
correct.
and the biggest one is trying to get to Westmont to hook up. to
Those,
that.
and those are it's like a group private well, so
Right,
it's
right.
it's definitely a difficult area.
All right, thank you.
So thank you. So thanks, staff. So any other questions or comments on this? Oh, Member Rutledge, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. So first of all, what was the grant amount that we gave to the people that connected? And then my second question is, were these just targeted areas? I live in unincorporated and I'm on a well and I never got any notification about
So
that.
you want to handle the first one? I'll handle the second one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So yeah, we offered a $3,000 rebate per connection per residential property.
So what the 2 areas, so we targeted the ones that were fronting water main that were not connected. I don't know in your area if you have a water main in front of your house so it wasn't intended to necessarily be an SSA type of scenario, except for the Liberty Park area, which was written in the original resolution. So what we did is we actually overlaid our map of all unincorporated that it fronts our systems out there. And in the checkerboard of people not connected, we reached out to over and over and over. And I know communities did the same thing out there. So yeah, and that was kind of our push. If an area out there is interested in receiving water, let's say there's no water mains, we have a process for that, and we will absolutely meet with any homeowner association, kind of go through that. If a subdivision does want water, it really comes down to what's available in the area to extend water mains. That's the problem with water.
Thank you. Good work, all of you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Okay, Madam Chair, I move on FIR 147-24, approval of employee compensation and job classification adjustments, informational technology.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Last to move on FIR 149-24, placing names on payroll, facilities management.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? Oh, member Desart, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to really congratulate Tim Harbaugh as our new Director of Facilities Management. An excellent move, well earned. And as you all know, I really support promoting from within, and this is an excellent, excellent promotion. So congratulations to Tim.
Thank you, member Desart. Any other discussion? Mick, did you want to come up and say anything? Come on up. No, yeah, I think we all concur with member Desart's comment. I do.
This was obviously a very easy decision for the chair. He's in charge of one of the biggest departments in the county. The amount of construction going through that department, I think he's done $125 million since the beginning of CARES Act. It's amazing, but what it does do we are also combining the environmental division in there, and it's going to make both departments stronger. So we're very excited for this change, well-deserved. And I think that out of this one change, we've made two different departments stronger, more resources to pull from. And I think that they're going to see a real advantage for both of them.
Yeah, member Rosa, go ahead, please.
I'm very delighted to hear this news. And during my 2 years as chair of facilities, Tim was just wonderful to work with. And this is great news. Thank you.
Thank you, member Ozag. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. We move on to informational, and I will call member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to receive and place on file informational items, A, payment of claims, and B, wire transfers.
Okay, I have a motion by member Krajewski and a second by member Garcia. Or member Garcia, okay, to receive and place on file items A and B under informational. All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, member Krajewski. Now we move on to presentations, and we have the ROE budget presentation, and we're having Amber Crick come up. So good morning, Amber.
Thank you, Chair Chaplin. Thank you, Finance Committee. I'm happy to be here today to share just a little bit about the ROE and what we're able to do with our budget, and then to make an ask of the county. So first off, do this, sir. Clicker. Oh, sorry. Okay, so as you can see, there are certain services that the regional office must provide per the school code. And I've included some of the data that we collected for these services from the 2023-24 school year. And for example, we hosted over 400 professional development opportunities for our educators, and we served nearly 173 students at our regional safe school and alternative learning program. In addition to the requirements, our ROE also supplies value-added services that are shared resources across our county. For example, I don't know, it's not clicking.
Oh, is it working? Oh,
Might just-
could we, I don't know, could we help her anyway
Nope,
with that?
got
You
it.
Got it? Okay.
I should have removed the animation. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
So for example, the IGA that we created in partnership with the state's attorney for providing mutual aid. during an emergency was part of our work by our school safety network. These networks, all of our networks, are not required by any state agency, but we are a model of best practice here in DuPage. And we have additional information in your board packet. This is a brief that you should have as additional information about our services. Now, some people believe that we are a taxing body, but we are not. The majority of our funding comes through securing state grants, federal grants, and from county support and administrative fees when we run certain PD. So you can see here, the county portion is a decent amount. I mean, we very much appreciate that. And when you look at the overall county budget, we are just a tiny, tiny sliver, the overall budget. But that tiny bit for the county goes a really long way for us. I just want to point that out. So for FY25, we are requesting a full-time salary budget of $844,745. Due to some vacancies and restructuring, the slide item did increase by about $54,000. Recently, 2 assistant regional superintendents transitioned to new opportunities outside of our organization. So in response, we have strategically reassigned certain responsibilities from their roles to other team members within the ROE to ensure continuity of service. In addition, last year, we identified some discrepancies that were with our titles and responsibilities and the current county titles and responsibilities. And therefore, a number of staff duties are more aligned with the current titles and salary ranges. And we did this to be more equitable across our organization in alignment with the county. New this year, we are including our grant-funded employees in the budget and payroll system. This will be budget neutral, as we will use a reimbursement process through our grant funding sources. Okay, and as part of the requirements for our budget, we've included our variance sheet. And as you can see, due to that restructuring, as well as aligning to the new ROE titles and job descriptions with the county for equity adjustments, like I mentioned, that line has increased. And although our IT budget line increased due to equipment needs, our overall commodities did decrease. We did see an uptick in our contractual budget line when we hired managed IT services for our office last year. And finally, there is a 100% increase in the program line that I will discuss next. So first of all, thank you to the previous investment from the county board through ARPA funds. We have seen some successes in creating a regional approach to connect students with employers, as we have also had some challenges and we are working to overcome those. So thank you for that previous investment in the work, because it has been transformational to our education and employment ecosystem in our county. And as you will see, this work closely aligns with the county's strategic plan, and we're very excited to continue providing the support in our area. So we don't want to let up now, and I want to start by just defining work-based learning a little bit. Oh geez. Okay, going back. Okay. All right. So high quality work-based learning means the student is enrolled in a course and getting credit. This is not a student working after hours at a local job. For our internship and apprenticeship programs, they are for credit, they are industry aligned, they're paid, and career connected. So the work-based learning journey is about helping them find a purpose and a plan and confidence to be able to launch their careers. And as you can see, they gain the real world experience and they build relationships with the employers. This work is about building access for all students and employers through a systematic and collaborative approach. Our collaborative group that's been working together along with GPS Ed, and Andy from GPS Ed is over here, he runs the intermediary. So we team together to build the support and the full journey of work-based learning opportunities. Something was on the screen. Did you guys see that?
Oh.
Sorry. Oh. Still talking? Okay,
It's
sorry.
here.
Uh,
I didn't see.
yes. Sorry about that. So the goal is to have the students engage along multiple touch points in the journey so that they can identify and build relationships early with their local employers along the way. For example, we are planning a countywide 8th grade career awareness day in the spring with TCD. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have the advanced apprenticeships that occur during senior year. So last week, during the county AI presentation, and I'm looking, Anthony's not in the room, but Anthony McPherson mentioned that rather than using the term vendor, the county likes to use the word strategic partnership, because it's somebody that you're working with over time. They're not just coming and providing a service and leaving. So the ROE has had a strategic partnership with GPS Ed because of the enormous value that they provide. This isn't easy work. And I know years ago, the work-based learning initiative was attempted and never got off the ground. So we have really seen that this intermediary approach has become the essential component to engage, prepare, and support schools, students, and the employers. And it creates alignment with the work-based learning experiences. The intermediary builds the regional work-based learning delivery model, and they can streamline the efforts, they leverage resources, they collect data, they maximize the employer partnerships and resources, and they build consistency and quality for the work-based learning opportunities. Our intermediary, GPS Ed, has conducted more than 360 reviews of students. It's kind of everything that goes into working with the schools and students and working with the employers. The activities for student recruitment and matching to employers occurs from January through May every year. Student work-based learning support is during the full school year, and employer partnership is year-round. You want to know specifically what it looks like. This model will give you a sense of the student's experience over their senior year and beyond. GPS Ed, as the work-based learning intermediary, has helped employers and students and schools implement the high-quality programming through a focus on the what, the how, and most importantly, the why they're doing this. If we have intentional design of these opportunities, then the students and employers have a consistent experience with clear understanding of the next steps for both parties. The reason why that's important is because we have 80,000 high school students in the county and 10,000 are enrolled in career and tech education each year. So the impact really is limited to the individual capacity of the schools and the employers. So the intermediary working with them at this regional level brings more efficiencies and makes it easier to scale the opportunities for everyone. So we have 23 high schools in the county, 21 have partnered. And I want you to think, if you own a business, would you want 23 different people calling you about the same thing, trying to set it up, and you're having to keep contacts and manage who's doing what when? No. I see you're shaking your head, so I think you agree. Similarly, managing work-based learning on a school-by-school basis is really inefficient and more costly for everyone. So we have an opportunity as a county to bring that regional approach and have a positive impact sooner than later. From its inception, we have focused our initiative on forging an alignment between lead entities in the education to employment space to ensure that equitable access for students and promote efficient use of our resources. So the original team, if you will, the visionary group, was the Regional Office of Education, GPS Ed, Choose DuPage, College of DuPage, WorkNet DuPage, and the Technology Manufacturing Association. We've also worked very closely the last 2 years with DEOS and the Technology Center of DuPage as well. So while the project started small and it started during COVID, I just want to point that out, very slow start during COVID. It has had a significant impact on both directly engaging students and employers. We've increased our understanding and elevated the regional awareness, yet we need to keep growing and expanding these opportunities, especially for students from diverse and limited backgrounds. We're seeking funding from multiple sources, And part of that is even, we recently found a grant that from the ROE that could help support it as well. So we are definitely continuing to look for multiple sources. As we work with schools to expand, we see that more students are expressing interest in these types of opportunities. Schools with the highest diversity and low income levels are getting the most support. You can note the number of students served has increased dramatically in the time that we've started this regional approach. We currently have 272 students engaged and approved in the program. And we're continuing to gain momentum with employers as well. So this is a potential pipeline for them, and it impacts all of our communities positively. We want to make sure we're aligning student interest with employer opportunities, and that's one of our biggest challenges and requires a collective effort. Also, I did include in your packet a breakdown of who the employers are that we're working with and the school districts and how many students that they have in the program. You may have wondered, how did we use the funding? This is the recent report about ARPA expenditures and how we used it. GPS Ed, as the intermediary, provides that consultation and project management. They do the convening and partnership development. So for example, we have a regional advisory committee. They pull everyone together. They work on the career pathways. They help to plan the school counselor and career awareness day on the countywide institute day, and they do planning for career and tech ed. GPS Ed also provides the work-based learning support that we talked about earlier, and that accountability piece for the schools, the students, and the employers. Our ROE service provider, Karen Sullivan, who's here, she is the link to the superintendents for each district to keep them updated of developments. And one of the challenges I mentioned that we have earlier is that we have just different fiscal years with ROE. Each one is different, county, state, and federal, different fiscal years. And so we have a little funding gap. So as we mentioned in the timeline slide, you can look back at that. We have sought additional funding. We're continuing to pursue additional funding sources and to offset the cost. But as you can see, a lot of partners need to be at the table to make this happen. So we're thinking of a braided funding model, and that would be the most ideal for sustainability. What is a braided funding model? Well, it requires funding from all stakeholders. So this would provide the benefits by leveraging some sustained resources such as Perkins funds for schools, maybe operating funds for schools and the ROE, for example, that current grant that I talked about, and generosity from community funders such as DuPage Foundation or corporate giving, as well as the county. So moving forward, we'd like to establish that braided funding model. And you can see from the diagram, a true regional approach is what we would need from multiple contributors for success. I'd like to reiterate that our work-based learning initiative aligns perfectly with the DuPage County strategic plan, specifically goal 3, a thriving economy. And therefore, we ask for your continued funding through the county general fund. This would bring alignment with the educational field and organizations in our county. It's a more efficient model at the regional level. If we took $250,000 and tried to spread it across the high schools in a different way, it would be significantly less impact than and more efficient than each high school trying to hire their own person, again, calling and working with different organizations. So the decrease each year on the screen demonstrates that other stakeholders will be contributing funds in that braided funding model. It's the right timing because there's been recent changes in pathway endorsements and relationships are established and ready. So we also hope that you take the time to review our stakeholder input. I don't know, but I think maybe there were some public comments. And do you have any questions?
Yes, do we have any questions? Okay, Member Glossy.
So I have a question about the budget, and then I also have a question about the workforce-based learning, or a comment actually. So I'm just actually first going to focus on that. First of all, I'm a huge supporter. I think it's a tremendous asset to the county. You mentioned all the different people who benefit. I'm just looking at the list of schools that are involved, and Hinsdale South isn't on the list. And I know that's who supports the Hinsdale Lake Terrace area, which I think could, tremendously benefit from this program. So how do we get them involved? Are they hesitant, or can I help facilitate that process?
I would love your help with that.
Okay.
Andy, did you want to share anything about what happened with that one with Insteel South?
We've had several conversations. They have a long-standing internal internship program, so they haven't necessarily leveraged all of these resources, but when we have the right opportunity with employers, that we partner.
Okay. I'm assuming your program is more robust than what theirs is, or not
I
necessarily?
think it's a lot of times the programming that exists at the schools has been more unpaid and kind of individually found. So the ability to create a systemic model is what we're trying to do.
Sure.
At this point. There's different scales of how schools have engaged. They've been ones that have kind of taken a slower approach for adoption.
Okay.
You know, a model approach might be Naperville 203. They've really invested significantly. But even when I met with them about what they're doing with their program, they indicated like, please don't let GPS Ed go away because they're utilizing their services too. Even though they have actual people at the school working with students.
Thank you, Member Galassi. Member you and then Member Zay.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks so much for this presentation, Amber. I think workforce development programming is very important, obviously. I think my main concern is that I'm not clear as to whether or not there's duplication of services going on. And, you know, DuPage does workforce development programming, especially for youth. Other nonprofit organizations do the same. And I know that College of DuPage, specifically TCD, their technology center in Addison, they're also doing the same work. So can you tell me a little bit more about, is there duplication of services going on here? And in addition, with regard to the funding, you mentioned Perkins funding, and I know that TCD, the Technology Center of College of DuPage, they receive that kind of funding. They have that pathway. If you were to do a strategic partnership with them, would that decrease the cost, right? So I think I'm just wondering about more cost efficiencies and if there's really evidence to show that this is the way to do workforce development programming as opposed to the other places that are doing it already. You know, I really appreciate those questions. I can add a little and then Andy, you can jump in. So first of all, yes, we work with WorkNet DuPage, but they have some restrictions with theirs. They can only go down to a certain age, whereas we're talking about seniors in high school. So if an employer called and they said, you know, we want someone who can start tomorrow full time, we can pass those calls off to WorkNet DuPage, especially if they're looking for somebody that maybe 18 or older, or maybe there's a student that's about to graduate. Again, jump in on how you do that. But so that's a specific group. And then when we're talking about TCD, so they have students who do traditional school in the morning. For example, you could have a student who goes in the morning to Wheaton North, and then they go in the afternoon to study very specific programs there. They're not necessarily paid apprenticeships or work-based learning apprenticeships. They're great. They're a great program. It's just a different part of the spectrum along the way. Also, we are working very closely with Mike Zimmerman, the executive director at DEOS, for that Perkins funding to work us in because of the weird alignment with the fiscal years. We were not in those discussions early enough for them to plan, hey, let's talk about this braided funding model. So we are working on that, but I would like you to, anything you can add to that whole process in your partners.
Yeah, we've had lots of great conversations with WorkNet DuPage about aligning an employer-facing strategy. So when we think about workforce development, there's lots of different investments in their supply line. And so this work is definitely targeting kind of students while they're still in high school, giving them that opportunity to make the right decisions about their career choices. And then for the businesses that we interact with, having them have one stop to go to and have that conversation. So we've built those referral models. We work with them closely. They're on our regional steering committee to help us think about employer outreach. We've aligned on marketing and messaging campaigns. We ran events together to promote and advance the role that employers play in kind of aligning support in that space. So there is certainly options for like the same type of conversations to be having, and that's why we think a regional approach is needed, because it does get confusing, particularly for your employers to think about, where do I plug in? Do I participate in the career awareness event with this school? Do I get a student from this area? Do I go to College of DuPage for this training? And so that's what the whole kind of model is try to think about where that fits in. And we're not here to compete or replace other activities. So if there's a community organization has a great impact and is doing this work, then we try to figure out how to work with them or around them so that we're elevating all of the stuff in this space and it's not a competitive landscape.
Thank you, Member Yu. Member Zay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What's the total cost for the entire program? Is that 369.51 that was on the graph?
Are you saying from the inception or?
No, for
For a
just
year.
the budget year.
Oh, yeah, 250 for a year. That ARPA was that's longer than a year.
No, you're asking for 250. What's the cost of the program?
For the upcoming year, that'll be 250 and 300,000.
Okay. Then what's the buy-in from the school districts? What are they contributing?
That's
I
where
mean,
the-
obviously the employers are paying for the
Paying wages, correct.
paying wages.
Yeah, schools are required to provide a couple things. One, they have to have a certified teacher. So there's some upskilling and training in that area. They're also working on creating the schedules. And then the partnership through DeOS, when we're able to align the fiscal year, we'll be able to tap into their Perkins dollars to provide a big portion of the ongoing support. So
Okay. And other, you said like TMA, are they supporting anything?
TMA has been a huge provider of employer outreach. We did not seek a grant from them at this point because we're not using the technology that they would provide in our programming, but they're part of our employer partnership.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Zay. Member Yu?
So kind of in line with Member Zay's question, so you're asking for $250,000 for the first year. So does the braided funding model, the Perkins funding, that doesn't come into play until later years? Is that what's happening? Because,
The fiscal year gap.
okay, and so then this particular program, it was completely funded by ARPA, and there was never any other funding that was funding this. No, it actually started with GPS Ed can say throwing in your own funding to get started back during COVID. Darlene Rossetti, my predecessor, sought some funding from the county early on. Then Senator or Congressman Sean Casten's office provided earmarked congressional dollars, and then the ARPA funding. That's the total. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Yu. Member Desart?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So on one of the slides, it said that you're asking for $250,000 this year. And you have said that that is the cost of the whole program. So in other years, in future years, you've asked for less. I don't have the slide up right now to ask to know how much it is. Can you pull it up, Craig? Thank you. So my question is, how will the program be funded in future years if you're not asking for the full $250,000? Thank you.
Sure, that's the idea of the braided funding model. So when you see it says 250 in year one, then we're gonna make sure that we make up that difference with other funding sources in year two, where it's only 125. And then it goes down to 50,000 for the last 3 years. And kind of thinking at that point, the county would have a stake in the game, but it would be less than what some of our other partners will have.
And that begs the question, if you can find other funding sources in 26, 27, 28, 29, why aren't there funding sources available for 25?
I would say just because we're still in the initial phases of this, so just trying to keep it growing and hopefully we'll see what the great impact is and want to fund it.
Okay, any other questions from any committee member Krajewski?
Thank you. I guess that funding model just goes to however big the program's currently at the time, but this is such an important issue in the county from our employer side. I mean, do you have the capacity to build it if you got more funding to build how many more touches we can get, how many more people we can get to?
I think the other element in this is a lot of our work is helping the schools build that capacity so that they're taking on this work and responsibility and building that partnership with them. So obviously more funding would mean more resources to work with employers and do that.
Because I would like to hear, I know Greg Bedloff is sitting over, I just more like to hear from him because it's the employers that I constantly hear from, and I sometimes hear from Greg, that they just don't have the people out there and they'd love to have, and the ones that did go through this internship program, I think a lot of them were hired. So from maybe Greg, you could just touch on that. 'Cause
Yes,
again, the regional.
Greg.
We
pro-
need
I agree
funding
with
for media because like, for example, Jim Mallory's a school board member in Medina. He stopped by last summer to bring me artwork from students. We start talking, he mentions he works for a manufacturing company. You gotta learn about a work-based learning program. He's connected to schools and hadn't heard about it. So
Okay.
I think we need probably a
Thank you.
media campaign.
But Greg,
Yeah, Greg.
Because, good morning. From the business side and what the employers, because you have most of the businesses are connected to Choose DuPage, our regional approach, and what you're hearing from the business people.
So we've shared this program with all 95,000 businesses in DuPage County in an effort to promote the marketing, and it has been incredibly well received by the business community because, as you mentioned, labor is their number one hot button right now and the number one issue that they face. As the businesses commit to this program with obviously the wages and the training dollars and everything else that gets associated with it, their question is always centered around things like transportation and how, to your point, how you scale this and how you make this more permanent, because it's not as easy as just a matchmaking service of finding a high school student and finding an employer that needs labor. It's also a matter of how you facilitate that and how you bring that into fruition. But the short answer to your question is the business community has been incredibly well versed in this and has been incredibly excited about this opportunity.
I know there's a lot of organizations in whatever aspect it is that do work out there, but sometimes they're a little more inefficient. And as you get to the regional approach, as we see with Merit, with our law enforcement, or we see recently with the collaboration with the counties that got together that you're now head of. But one of the things I saw, and I'm going to get to my point, that under that, because of that sharing, we have the access to all the software programs, now like 100 of them, where before you had
126.
126, and you had 2 before,
We had
correct?
2.
And so you went out and you offered that to all the municipalities who are doing the same work. And honestly, I think it went out slow. You reached out to economic development directors and maybe 10 would show up to a meeting, et cetera. And I think in my district alone, maybe 1 town did it. But once I went to the mayors and explained what was going on with $5,000 to join to get all access to the software, I think Clarendon Hills is on board, Hinsdale's on board, Darien's on board, Westmont's on board, Burr Ridge is on board, Woodridge is on board. As soon as the mayors found out about it, but you had been getting that out to the staff. And
Correct.
this
Yeah,
goes to Member Galassi's question. I would talk to the school board members of District 88 or 86, because once they find out, they may tell Hinsdale South, this is a problem. Once they understand, and I see a nodding of a head over there, once the board, they're the ones that make decision, like we're the ones that make the decision here. I think, Greg, because you're involved in this, that maybe you also reach out to those, well, we reach out to our mayors, but also the economic development groups, because it's going to help them in their towns too. So as each municipality contributes to Merit, for our overall, 300 law enforcement that are in that program, and each municipality pays a little bit, that I think this program, the municipalities from their economic development standpoint would also benefit, and they should possibly be partners in it, especially ones that have more manufacturing. So I would charge Greg maybe with, and I see Amber thinking in her head.
Thanks, Amber.
But again, from another funding source, it's the same thing when we help with whether it's the DuPage Visitors Bureau, and we don't have a hotel tax, but yet all the municipalities do, but they always come ask us for money. And the first thing I always say is go ask the municipal partner first that's benefiting from it. And we have one of those going on right now. I know you and I with Westmont, and they're jumping right in and they understand it. And they said, yes, how can we support it? So again, I think the businesses are looking for this opportunity.
And the communities, Member Krajewski, I
Yeah.
think you're referring to our municipal analytics program, which we
Sure.
now enjoy because of our relationship in GSEP
Right.
with the city of Chicago. And current count is 12 municipalities have signed up for that program.
Oh, I know,
Which is-
and all of them from my.
No, they're actually from all 6 districts, Member
I know.
Krajewski. I know you've been a champion of it,
But-
but all 6 districts have participated in one way, shape, or form. And they're looking at it, to Amber's point and GPS's point, as data and tools and software that they can use as they're doing strategic planning and they're looking at labor. Along with, a shout out obviously to our friends at WorkNet, who do more than just WIOA programs, and they're involved in this as well from a matchmaking.
But what I'm saying is when Lucy and Carrie and I were at our District 3 meet, we had one and we put it out there. Once the mayors found out about it, and I mean, how many calls did you get since then from my District 3 people? Because, you know, and Carrie's the vice chair of economic development. But once the policymakers, they understood a program, they directed to, let's get involved. When, you know, sometimes you're dealing with, whether it's Hinsdale South, they got their own program, their board's the one that makes decisions. So if they understand it, they think maybe that's what we should be doing on a regional approach. So
Correct.
again, I would encourage us from the economic development side to talk to our local economic development municipal partners about this program, because I think it's a great program. I think, you know, I saw, you know, probably the most vocal superintendent, Hank, I saw his email there, but when I used to be on with Darlene, with all the superintendents, when we were doing, whether it was, you know, remote learning, hooking up the internet, or with getting the vaccination for the teachers, he was the most vocal guy on the phone. So I could see why he was the first guy to send I guess a community response in here. So, but again, thank you for the presentation, but I would suggest we also look at the municipal partners and see if we can get them on board, or at least some of them, because I think some of them mayors will understand the importance of this for the business community and their own community to help partner.
One of our first connections was actually mayor's office.
I think you need to come up maybe to the mic, please.
One of our first community outreaches with the mayor's office in Addison, and District 88 has been a huge, you know, partner with us. That's where we have most students, most partners, most engagement. So I think that affirms that concept. The more we can engage other parts of the community around this and rally the troops, the more successful it'll be. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. So I have members Guston, member you, and then member Cahill. So member Guston, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank you, both Amber and Greg and Mr. GPS. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. But I will say this innovative program is phenomenal. It's just getting its land legs right now. I think we need to support this moving forward, particularly for our students also, because they're kind of in a crux of where do I fit? Where am I going to go? What's my interest? And this really does offer them that helping hand. WorkNet is great because it can help people that are at a different age bracket. A lot of the schools already have some type of program in place. I know District 203 does, and it's an award-winning school, but yet they're willing to communicate and work and facilitate with you guys. So keep up the good work. I totally support this, and I think we need to make this move forward. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, member Guston. Member you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, this was a new program, and I know that ARPA dollars were involved here, and I think it was made clear to us on the board that with the ARPA dollars going away, that things were going to be tightening, right? And so I was hoping that there was going to be more information about more strategic partnerships, more funding sources that you were bringing to the table in order to make this work after the ARPA dollars ran out. But in this situation, you're saying that the $250 is really the full budget for 2025, and you're asking that full amount from this board. And I just don't know what other funding requests are out there. I know that there are certain line item budget requests that members have asked for, have put in, myself included. So I'm not sure if this is, this is just for discussion for today, but if there is some kind of consensus vote or something that's going to be going forward, I wouldn't know how to vote on this simply because I don't know where the other numbers lie. And it's true that there is federal funding out there, that there is other grant money that we could be using for this, but that's not what was presented today, at least not for 2025.
Yes, thank you. And remember you, today we're just having this for discussion purposes, and I think this will be discussed as part of the budget. And depending how that budget goes, what will be presented to us at the end of September. Is that correct, Nick?
Yeah, today would be discussion only. The next time you would see it would be the chair's recommended budget at the end of September. And then this board would have 2 months to figure out, where to go from there. And whether the chair's recommended budget has this or not, the board can make a decision, to accept or reject whatever she recommends then in September.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Yu. Member Cahill.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Amber. Thank you for your presentation. This is a hugely important initiative that I support 100%. Investing in the children of DuPage County is the most important thing we can do, I believe, for the future of DuPage County. I represent Addison, and District 88 is very involved, and I know that with meeting with the mayor and meeting with Jean, the superintendent of District 88. They are 100% supportive of this and use it. I also want to point out, I think it's terrific, this 8th grade career apprenticeship. You know, being a mother of 5 children, you have to kind of expose them to what's out there at an early age, because once they get to their high school, there is all sorts of different curriculums. They can go this way, they can go that way, and you got to find what their passions are, what their strengths are, and kind of encourage them in those areas. And that is how you have a successful and happy child who finds their passion. So I think that is absolutely wonderful, this 8th grade career initiative. Where do you do that? Do you do that here at the county, or where is that?
No, booking the county is kind of difficult. I just want
Okay.
to say that. We're probably going to be having it at COD.
Okay, COD, that sounds great. But I just wanted to say I'm hugely supportive, and this is terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Cahill. Member Ozog.
Thank you. I heard the other day, the state of Minnesota has gone through and evaluated their own jobs for college requirement and has eliminated the college requirement for an awful lot of jobs. I can't remember the exact percentage. So this ties in with, in the future, looking at jobs and opportunities that are not requiring a college degree. So for that part, I think that that's really useful. I was also I didn't realize what I had at the time, but in high school, I trained as a dental assistant and worked 4 days a week after school. So I didn't become a dental assistant, but it was a really good introduction to the workforce, et cetera. And I earned money. So it was really important. So, but I think that that's something for the county to think about as well. What is really required? Can life and work experience be used instead of the actual requirement of a college degree? So this is right in line with that kind of thinking. Thank you.
Thank you.
May
Thank
I
you.
say something?
Yeah,
on that?
absolutely. Go ahead, please.
I think what you're saying is very important too. I agree. And during this time frame where there are changes happening with requirements, that's again why the timing of this is so important. I think Greg and I had a conversation maybe like 6 months ago about how slow sometimes it feels like it's going, because changing anything in education is like turning the Titanic. It's so slow. And for years and years and years, counselors have been promoting college for all, college for all. So now this isn't just about helping students in schools understand how to work with businesses. It's also changing a whole message that has been out there for, we'll say, decades.
And I was part of that with, I was on the District 87 board for 8 years, and, the push with AP is
Yes.
really all over the place, but there was also definitely participation with TCD, which was great. But I think we need to look at both elements, because 4-year degree, cost-wise, interest-wise, et cetera, is not for everybody. So this is a really important initiative.
Careers for all. That's
Yeah,
the new-
exactly.
Thank you, Member Ozog. Member Galassi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Amber, thanks for the presentation. I just want to reiterate my support for this program. I think it's so important for the students, the economic development of DuPage County, everyone benefits. But also just back to the budget, your budget presented the 2024 budget and then the 2025 ask. Could you get the members the 2024 to date and what you expect 2024 budget to look like, so we can see those 4 columns? Yes, so year to date, and I actually have it pulled up on my computer, but it's from August 19th, but I think we're on track for our commodities line, and then because our full-time salaries, I think we're on track with that one, but under a little bit for our part-time salaries, and everything else we are on par with what we're planning to spend. What do you anticipate the variance to be then, based
Of
on
the
the year to
overall
date?
budget?
Yeah,
Can I look?
sure.
Yeah, we need, yeah.
Ron Johnson is my new director of finance. Today's, I think, day 12, 17. Yeah. She is learning all of our programs and as well as working on the migration. So I show actually right now we're on track overall with
And-
what we budgeted.
Okay,
Perfect,
any other,
thank you.
yeah, and
I'll do updated numbers and
Okay.
get them to you just to make
Okay,
sure.
yeah, and
Yeah.
could we just get that, your budget with those, with that added column, the actual year to date, and thank you so much.
thank you so much. And thank you, Amber. I just have a couple questions too. With regards to the budget and the 844,000, I think it was 475 for salaries. How many employees do you have that are,
Okay, so we have.
I know some are, you have the 3 million for the grant. And then how many is the 844 covering?
That is a head count of 15, including the stipend. Oh, actually, I take that back. Those salaries don't include the stipend for myself or Dr. Trotter.
So I think we need to get that too. I think we need to know the number of employees that we're paying for and then what the grant's paying for, because I don't think that's been made clear. So I think that's important in those budget numbers as well.
That
Was that
844, that's only the county funded folks.
right? But how many county funded folks are we supporting? Most departments will give us the head count to justify that salary. So I don't have the head count. So I don't know. We don't know what we're paying for. That could be one person. I don't know, right? So I'm just saying, I don't know. So I don't know how many. Is it 3? Is it 10?
Lot
I'm
of
just saying,
money.
I don't know. So
I will happily send that to you as well.
thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for the presentation. It is a great program. And as you know, with ARPA, we funded many great programs and everyone is valuable, so we are not going to have these funds going forward. So it's just something to keep in mind as we're planning our budget, what we're going to keep in and what we're going to be cutting. So, we have very, very many important initiatives that we started with COVID, and we hope that we can keep some of them. So it'll depend on how the chair presents her budget. But thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you all.
And with that, do we have any old business? Okay, seeing none. Do we have any new business? Member Dessert?
Thank you, Madam Chair. When constituents enter public comment into our portal, they may wonder if board members actually read it, and I can assure them that we do. One of those messages, I won't read the whole thing, came from John Kavoris. And I'm not going to read the whole thing again, but he wrote, "I'm the owner of a small subcontractor working on the renovation of the DuPage Care Center. The construction manager is running a good job. And the subcontractors are working hard. The project is going well," but he says, "As I write, progress bills to the county are now over 90 days past due. Subcontractors have not been paid for the work they completed in May, June, or July, nor has the construction manager received payments. We all have a pay when paid clause in our contracts, meaning that we will not get paid by the construction manager until the county pays. This is common in our business, and the construction manager is not at fault." So anyway, I'm wondering on behalf of John Kavoris, why these bills haven't been paid for 90 days. Thank you.
Tim?
Good morning.
Go ahead.
I did speak to Mr. Gavorish the day after he sent that out. He was satisfied with the discussion that we had. Under Illinois state statute, we have 60 days to pay. We have 30 days to approve the payment and 30 days to process. Our payment was a day late. It did come out 61 days later. There was a delay internally that has been resolved. And then this work is being under White within 30 days got their piece done, meaning they sent us the invoice, we received it. They got their piece in and then they cut the checks. The check is going to be cut this Thursday and mailed out. It'll be mailed out 2 days from today. The problem has been remedied. I have to tell you that for the August invoice, their invoice was dated July 22nd. We received it August 11th, which is incredibly fast for construction. So there was a delay for this one project. It was about $58,000 and it has been remedied to his satisfaction.
And I'm glad to hear that it's been remedied, but you said 60 days. This gentleman says he hasn't been paid in 90 days.
That's correct, because we, under state statute, DuPage County have 60 days. It takes a period of time for White to receive the invoice, to process it. They bundle up all the invoices, including their own work, and then they send it to us. And then when we send the check, then they have to cut the check. So there is a time period both on the start and on the end by White to process that work. So that's where the extra 30 days came from.
Okay, thanks, Tim. So you're saying that it's been remedied and he'll be paid, they'll be paid, all of our subcontractors will be paid sooner than 90 days in the future.
Correct. Correct. In this case, that is correct. I cannot tell you for all construction jobs because oftentimes the delays are called by the contractor or the subcontractor themselves. If they send incomplete work, we don't pay them. They have to have their waivers, they have to have their certified payroll. There's other pieces in there, but correct. In this case, we are paying incredibly fast. There was the one delay on the one invoice and that was on our end.
Thank you.
And just to make it clear, we don't pay the subcontractors. White does pay the subcontractors. So we send the check to White, which will go out this week, right? And then White will issue the checks to the subs. Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Is that clear for everyone? Yeah. Okay, great. All righty. Thank you so much. Any other old or new business? I guess we're on new business, right? Okay, then without objection.